I am third or fourth generation Asian American. Lived in DC all my life until after I graduated and married a naval officer. So then moved around, came back, and here I am. Education, went to Maryland, graduated in criminology, criminal justice. Also one of the first 3 to graduate with Asian American Studies certificate. The fall of 97, I believe. Took AMST 298C, that was American Studies 298C with Will Liu, who's now back here at Maryland. He was my intro. It was basically my intro to Asian American Studies. From there, then I met Vidya Test, who is my undergraduate TA, and he got me latched on to Asian American Student Union. So then with them, we started doing the WASP co-chair, so the Working for an Asian American Studies program, because at that point it was already, the push was already started and the ball was rolling. So by then, I guess I came in on the later half of it to get it pushed through, and yeah, so just doing that. From there, then I eventually was the undergraduate representative on the second search, for the search committee for the second full-time position on with Dr. Jaehyun Kim, who eventually was selected for sociology, and he would work with AAST. And so still getting that push through, still getting that understanding of why we actually need the AAST. For me, going around to the various student conferences around the country and having spoken about, they're like, oh, you go to University of Maryland, like, what? Asian American Studies, we want that, because at that point there was no established program on the East Coast. So UM was already like at the forefront of getting this. You know, everyone has one like on the West Coast and everything, but East Coast, it was, what's Asian American Studies? They're like, oh, we have an Asian Studies. No, Asian American is completely different than Asian Studies. We are not learning about China and Korea and everything. We are learning about Americans of, Asian descent and our, specific identity, history, everything that people like, for me, I didn't even know, like, there was maybe a little blurb in high school about Chinese railroad workers, but there was really nothing else said. Maybe the Page Law forbidding Asian American women from entering the country, but history for us was just not mentioned until getting here and learning about identity issues and the history, and stuff. Like, just whoa, like, just amazed. And so that was my passion of like, yeah, especially identifying as Asian American and not just Asian, because my dad was born and bred in DC, and he always made sure to say, hey, you are American first, but don't forget your Chinese heritage. So you don't, basically shaping that Chinese American identity for me. And then he passed away while I was in college. So for me, that really just solidified everything. He passed away in '99. So that made Asian American AAST for me even more important, and just like something that was like, oh, if I could do this, this would be awesome. So the collaboration with that was amazing. There was a lot of cross-cultural collaborations, because we couldn't just say, hey, this is important just for this population of Maryland. To say that is like, it's inane. So, just like African American studies or Chicano studies or women's studies is just for specific groups. It's not. It's, we live in this melting pot of cultures, and for us to not understand other individuals' shared experiences, or to say we operate in a colorblind society, would not do anyone any justice. So for Asian Americans, yeah, it's something that is not known as well, especially in 2000. Before, around that time, we were still fighting for retention. There's retention. They had retention symposiums for Latino and African American students, saying they had the lowest retention rates. But we're like, well, Asian American students have a need too. They're like, no, you guys have among the highest retention rates. We're like, that is not true, because if you break it down within the Asian American population, you have Southeast Asian Americans who also have among the lowest retention rates. So to lump them with a model minority and just having to explain what's model minority. So the campus at that time was slowly getting there. By then, like, the students had, initiated that push, and everyone's like, oh, well, they chalked up the campus. So there's just numbers around the campus of like, how many classes, or how many Asian American students were among the population. Just little tidbits, like educational kind of like pushes to get like people aware of everything. There's a few sit-ins at the administration building. There's a few walk-ins on like symposiums and sit-downs. So there's a good amount of activism that was happening, and that grassroots activism was amazing, because also we were doing the coalition building with other communities. So for AASU, they were very good. We had such a tight bond with LSU, BSU, the women's groups. So it was always just everyone collaborated together and had, LGBTQA also. So everyone was just very tight, and everyone had each other's back. It was just so important. That's what I still talk to students about to this day. It's like, hey, don't just stay in this little hole. Make sure you have each other's backs, because what happens to one community can obviously happen to another community. So you can't just be like, oh, that's their problem. It's not. Same thing with AST. It's not just for Asian Americans. It's for everybody who who wants to learn and wants to understand what this country is built on. So obviously, being one of the first graduates is myself, Christina Lagdamea, and Dharma Nayak. And the three of us graduated. That was huge. And that was a certificate at that point. I know it's now minor. So to hear what we had done and my thoughts and just the thirst for that need for their campuses too was inspiring to me. It was just good to know. And then a lot of these kids, now you're either working in the field or teaching and everything. So it's good to see that these student leaders also made a difference with their impact. And for me personally, as my family, with my kids, from a very young age, talking to them about racism, talking to them about stereotypes, making sure they're inclusive. Education, hey, there's other things that happened in history other than, just this narrow scope that we see. And for the importance for them to feel proud in their identity, to not ever feel ashamed of, who they are, knowing that yes, they will be looked at on the outside. They may not be, viewed, or there will be assumptions made initially, and for them to prove that wrong and to stay strong and to not feed into the stereotypes, to not to be passive, speak up if there are people who need help. You help speak up for them too. So they've done a good job so far. So to get the program just pushed through and established and just running and strong, it's definitely superseded those dreams. They've got amazing faculty. The student groups have grown and everything. Just to maintain the strength of the program, it's been amazing. And again, they have amazing faculty. They still have Phil. They have Will back. They have Rosina Liu also, who's now back. And just amazing. And the new faculty who've come in too. I'm just very, very excited of that. I think the only downfall that I am a little disappointed in is just the student groups not being as close as they were when we were there. And again, for us to come back and then be like, well, how do you get the support? We're like, go talk. So that I think we've lost. There's been that disconnect because of, social media and just everything is just like, I'll just text them. Where for us, we'd like, if we need to go talk to them, we actually have to go walk and do a face to face. Like, are you going to build a relationship through a text or through an email? You can't. You can get so far, and then showing up and supporting. And so I think that would be my only concern is just the student support and the coalition building that still needs to be maintained, because if this program falls, it would need that support. And if you don't already have those bonds built and strengthened, then that will be the only roadblock. Other than that, Terry Park, I forgot to mention Terry Park. So, but yeah, I'm very proud. Future AASTers. Tanya Lee, first graduate of AAST, one of the first of three. You are the strength that will continue to carry on AST and to show why there is a need for Asian American studies, not only at Maryland, but nationwide. Why there's a need for ethnic studies, for people to understand that our experiences as people of color are very important. That to understand someone's history, you have to understand their pain and their struggles, and to not discount those, and to become more empathetic individuals who will understand that, Black Lives Matter. Why is that important? It can happen to other communities. It can happen to other people. So for you to go through AST and learn the history and the importance of this community is huge. And whether you do that on a small level by just raising your children, right, or on a huge level by going into politics or policy and everything, it's just, you can make a huge difference. And just to know that this is important, and you are important, and this program is important, and you can make a difference. Small or big, you can make a difference.